When you come into Power Station, you go to Power Station platform. This will be your screen and you will have a login or a register. Up here, you'll also have a sign in. You can use this sign in button or this login button. You will put your email in here. And then once you get into Power Station, up in this yellow guy, there'll be a settings field. When you go to settings over here, there's an OASIS credentials. And when you come here, you should be able to then select your certificate. So it'll come from your certificate store. And if you have duplicates in here, like this system does, you can hover over each one and it'll give you the information about it, just in case it's already expired. Some of them have expired, like this one expired on this particular day, right? And so that gives you an idea of which one is the newer one. So like this one doesn't expire till 2025, right? So you'll pick the certificate, you'll pick dev as your environment. You will pick your OASIS username, so whatever it is going to be there. And then the password, you'll hit the save OASIS credentials and it will validate your credentials against the demo system. And that allows you to go into the system and continue to train and test. If you look in this bit column, there's like a little grid. This is where all of our applications are so that you can choose which application that you want to go to. We do have hotkeys for those as well if you end up wanting to use them. And so you can actually click here, like if we wanted to talk about FastPath, we can just click on the FastPath. You know, because this is a web-based system, you can actually have multiple tabs up. So like if I wanted this one to be trans now, and that way I didn't have to lose where my place was on the last one, I can have this be trans now, this be FastPath, and this be like six. So you can add as many as you want. From the other redirect screen, over here, you can have a column and there are service types associated in here. So you can say service increment, TS class, TS type, TS period, TS window, TS subclass. And by doing this, should allow you to then go ahead and change these to be like hourly secondary. Let's just go over FastPath. To get there, you just click on the FastPath application icon. Over here on the left-hand side, you will see that at the very top will be help. This is the FastPath that basically it shows up with all of your criteria here on the left for you to pick from. And then it allows you to, once you pick stuff, so like, let's say we are looking for firm, non-firm, hourly point to point from Cobb to John Day for the next hour is what it defaulted to here. So I'm going to go ahead and say fetch routes and see if we get anything back. What this should do is give us back all of the possible routes to go. Granted, this is going to be a single leg, so it doesn't really matter. But, and then there's a map here, so you can view the map, so you can see what they are. So there's just pretty much Cobb to John Day, where, you know, one of them is owned by Puget, one of them is owned by Pacificor, one of them is owned by our Portland BPA. So these are the different ways that you can pick, and the map here kind of shows you where it's going and where it's going to. This is the main screen for people who are coming in and you want to look something up. I want to look up BPA power to mid-C. That'll be a better one. There's lots of ways to get there, right? And I want to say either mid-C or mid-C remote. I want to do the same thing for the next hour. If I do the fetch routes here, it's going to come up with tons and tons of ways to do it. And it's going to give you the price for these. It orders them by the least cost. So up at the top will be your least cost paths. And as you open these, you can see what the multiple paths are in between. So like this one is just using BPA and then Puget. Some of these are taking multiple hops. So this is going from BPA to the Puget's portion of the border to Pacificor's portion here. So you can actually see how much availability there is on each line. And over here on the map, it's actually showing you all the different ways to get there, right? So this is showing BPA power in the green. And then over here, the 2 points I picked, this one's mid-C and this is mid-C remote because I picked 2 points over here. You don't have to, but it gives you all the variations of the ways you can get to one from here to either here or here. the nice thing is you can hide the map if you want to see more information here. This gives you more real estate to have more data, but you can always bring the map back up. There's a line here that allows you to squish stuff, so you can kind of move it around a little bit if you need to. So there's something called FastPath Dashboard. And what that allows you to do is basically, if you are doing something all the time, so our customers who are constantly looking for availability between one point and another, and they know they've got multiple legs all the time, instead of having to go and search one thing and one thing and one thing, what we do is we've created this dashboard. And what the dashboard does is it allows you to put your criteria in and create these little tabs to show you. So like right here is a BPA to mid-C that I created. So this tab already has all the criteria in it that I just put in the one that we just had, and then allows me to see the same thing. But I can just go to my tab quickly and easily instead of having to enter the information. You can then say edit current, and that edit current is for the tab that you're looking at. And this has all that information that was on the front side. So the same thing that we just filled out. So it gives you your POR, your POD, your service increments, et cetera, and whether or not you have a minimum amount of capacity. And then it uses these dates right here to be able to default so that you don't, because most of the time, if you already know what you're looking for all the time, the thing that you're changing the most of the time is your your dates. And as long as you don't put a minimum capacity in here or you put a minimum of 0, it's going to show you everything that's available and give you the maximum amount of capacity available on these lines. So because I had 0, you can see that I show a lot of zeros here, but I can also filter out anything that is 0. And then that way I know that I'm only looking at non-zero data. Then say maybe I don't have contracts with some of the TPs in these, but I know that I do have one with Puget. So I can then come here and further take my path down because the path actually does contain the various TPs in it. And then once I see like, okay, you know what? I want to try to use this one. There's 50 megawatts available on it. You can open it up and look at it if you want, but at this point, I can actually click this, hit reserve, and it'll bring up my wizard with all of the information filled out in it. So in this case, I'm acting as TEA, so my customer code is TEA. You can come and set your stuff. So like I'm just looking for, let's say 1 megawatt, because this is a heavy load hour. I'm going to click the heavy load hour button. That says, okay, I'm just looking for 1 megawatt from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Save and close. This one will then also have that same profile information in it. If I want to change that profile information, I can. It defaults to whatever is in your first path. It may be that you already have, like, let's say we wanted 30, and it may be that you already had 20 on this path already. So you really only needed 10 for your second half of your path. You can change that there. Once you are done, you can say finish. That gives you the indication of what each of your various segments on your path is going to be. And so I can see that basically I've got a profile of 1, and I go ahead and submit the reservations. It asks me if I'm sure. I say yes. You should get a thing here saying that you submitted it, and then you should get TSR's things coming up here. So how it says a new TSR was created. And so I've got one called 7682 and one 7683. So those were for each of those segments, right? So the whole path is from BPA power to mid-C, but I needed to go first from BPA power to the US border and then from the US border to mid-C. So now if I came to my TSR activity, I should be able to see these 2 TSRs that I just did. Here's one of them, and he's queued up, and the other one was, it was 62, 683 or 6. Not seeing him. So at this point, I should be able to look and say, okay, how come I'm not seeing him? So I can go to the audit log if for some reason I don't see it. And I can see here that I had an original request for 682 and original one for 683. So they should both be in there. So I'm going to come over here to all and look for them over here since I had a filter going on. So here are my 2 TSRs. They came in as invalid, and it'll say why. it says I don't have an agreement there, so I have the wrong price in. So at that point, I should have put in a different price because of the agreement that TEA has with BPA. So it gives you that information right here. So just like how there's these dashboards up here for that for FastPath, on the TSR activity, there's also little dashboards up here where you can do the same thing. You can add a new one, set up what it is that you want to see. Like maybe I want to see only Trans Alta originals or something. And I can put, I only want to see originals in here. I only want to see for this guy. And then I can add him in here and he will show up as his own tab or dashboard up here. And then from here, you can just click around so that you're only seeing what you want to see. And these are per user. So each user can have their own set. And then you can set this up to however you want. Obviously, I don't care about having the request type in there because it's originals only. And so I can take the request type out and you can then sort and filter and do whatever you want to do by, however you want to see it. So those two work kind of exactly the same way. The dashboard concept, at least, of having these dashboard items up here at the top. And the way you can delete them, you can add new ones, or you can edit the current ones.